the first to know Nsem-Pii TV.
Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny. In fact, wasan ate asem foforo ena no pay. Now, since April 22nd, Yera Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama are appointing as the acting Chief Justice. Because now the substantive Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkonoo, your initiative processes are now ye are suspending no now ye seeking for the removal. Eventually, the Committee of Inquiry at the report command His Excellency John Dramani Mahama based on more findings from the committee sittings. Emma Ghana man penyi jina sa findings in so editor just say Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkonoo yayi ne to akonwa enti ontumi ntoa so eni ne djuma biun as Chief Justice of the Republic. Enumwa ena His Excellency John Mahama appointed Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny say ono ena emeye substantive Chief Justice pending vetting from Parliament's Appointment Committee. Elinti Ghana Mrashebe Jatrase no omo esleti Monday the 10th of November 2025 at exactly 11 hours at Parliament House as the day and the time and the venue for the vetting of Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny to hold the position of the Chief Justice of this country. Yawa ena yete say former Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Torkonoo are filing legal action seeking to stop the vetting and the subsequent appointment of Justice Bafo-Bonny as the next Chief Justice of this country. Will file applications in Accra High Court. Now o siki se one proceedings se course so the Justice Gabriel Scott Parman Committee ye gina so edi yi no se on to be Chief Justice bio no yen kwase sa proceedings ni nyina emfa entumu. Now fe court on sign and set aside proceedings involving the committee and investigations se course nyina for the removal. High Court is yet to sit on the matter and give its ruling. And see you better say another petition to afawiem say akopiemu ewo mrashebedwo. Petition here, the minority in parliament led by its leadership and a file petition say omompre Emma vetting of Yera Justice Bafo-Bonny na yede ashe 10th of November no omompere manakoso. Na minority no a file motion calling for the suspension of all proceedings on the nomination of Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny as Chief Justice. Edientia almost say there are almost 5 pending legal cases concerning the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Saki Torkonoo and the vetting and subsequent approval of Justice Paul Bafo-Bonny as Chief Justice of this country. The minority chirima kase ye Justice Gertrude Torkonoo di free so as Chief Justice. Cases wo court wa eguso pendi ayenka ho asem. Sansuna Ghana man penyini appointed Justice Bafo-Bonny as acting Chief Justice. Na ya se date dia man for the vetting no so no court case wo no mo etia saa enhihye. Enu nti omo minority enam so omo di obuo ni die e ma Ghana ye mrent no debi omo mpere ma vetting no koso. Now ohwa motion no a minority cite articles 110 clause 1, article 125 clause 1, article 127 clause 1, Article 144 clause 1, Article 146 clause 1 and 2 of the 1992 Constitution. Omo sign estate over 20 relevant standing orders of Ghana's parliament. Se woka sa nneoma yi nyina di bomwa. Eni kwan say omo minority in parliament transehwe se vetting of Justice Bafo Boni etokoso. Hence, by virtue of this motion, omo de son to mrase bedwa say animanimu ya omo suspended the appointment committee's vetting and any other plenary debate or approval processes of Justice Bafo Boni, so Obabaye Chief Justice of this Republic. Now, motion specifically a reference these ongoing multiple cases. The kind and they say Justice Torkonoo a file suit ewo ECOWAS court. Yeah, suit number no ye ECW CCG APP 3225. Now, according to the minority, ECOWAS court are acknowledging receipt of this lawsuit. ECOWAS court has served the Attorney General. Say omra na onfa ne written defense statement mra. The office of the Attorney General, led by the Deputy Attorney General Justice sh0cks, and so the abetu just say omo I acknowledge receipt from ECOWAS court. Ya omo prepare omo written defense asabeti diama ECOWAS court. The ECOWAS court to Ukrainian track case no sunni. Now, according to the minority, the ruling from the ECOWAS court has the tendency of affecting the position of the president in appointing Justice Bafo Boni as the Chief Justice. Case number 2, Omuchiremwa, a leadership Justice Torkonoo, and so ewo 2 High Court pending cases as against a removal, and was signed a Supreme Court case, directly related to her removal. And our High Court case, no so pending, the vetting process and the subsequent approval of Justice Bafo Boni. It is just a High Court case in Yemiensa. Mienu against a removal, Bako the vetting and the subsequent approval process of Justice Bafo Boni. And was our Supreme Court on su case ya. Wa file ediatia ne removal. To kasa case sin nabuma 4 ansana ECOWAS court to dia beka ho 5. Enti case ya ewo 5 pending cases. 3 before the High Court, 1 before the Supreme Court, 1 before the ECOWAS court. Yen kan ho asem no. Yen dan na omo etrase yen hwe ha say. Brasebe Jantrasi no one carry out the vetting and the subsequent approval of Justice Bafo Boni as Chief Justice of this country. Now, the motion from the minority in Parliament further requested, say, Attorney General and the Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Akurutinga Ayini, and was or appear before Parliament. Now, Obe provided comprehensive briefing on the status of all these court matters. You are in say, or your Attorney General, or your very vociferous. You who know in the media space, various corruption related cases, or be a biemuna or babemu, Amagana of one who say Buffer Stock CEO, the handbag boy say, the wristwatch boy bonnie say, a Jumana way to any say, or Eden will afford these handbags and wristwatches. Didn't I get it free? Ejano. Press conferences ase. Chairman won to me case ya wakoti oba bonte beka de wo ne de anim nyina wo beka. A chain the lawyer se ba bonte beka se yen ko hunu Attorney General bia se ye plead for play bargain. In that same vein, e was Attorney General e ba mrahye bedwam na wo be chechire mu say Supreme Court case ya Mahama Gertrude Araba Esaba Saki Torkonoo a file de tia ne removal no. Say nete ɛhefa na akodru anamontuo bɛn na aban aloyafo mu to dia fa ho de wo ɛyɛ high court ya mienu etia ne removal baako etia the vetting process and the subsequent approval of Justice Bafuboni as Chief Justice no ɛhefa na adru ɛdeɛn na mo na aban aloyafo mu to dia fa ho ECOWAS court nso de no a mo acknowledge say ma receive the lawsuit from ECOWAS court ya court no hyɛ mo form written statement mra no so no say na akwakodru all these answers needs enormous explanation from Dr. Dominic Ayini. According to the motion, minority ni chirema, it was a Dr. Dominic Ekutinga Ayini. Oba na shebedwam na odi nchiremu eba edify all these matters. Now the briefing, according to the minority's motion, should cover the identity and statuses of the suits. Any interim or conservatory orders granted, the reliefs sought, and their implications for the office of the Chief Justice. The minority chirema ba Dr. Dominic Akutinga Yini eba mrashe bedwam. Enti chirema mu hia ne say omra na omemo mu briefing according to the motion. Se case no kra no identity citizen ni gina bia nei etete. In fact, your interim and conservative orders bia ya granted in these cases and reliefs buying the nipa involved in these cases siki implications buying rulings from these cases ebenya on the office of the Chief Justice. They need these explanations. Additionally, minority seeks clarification on Ghana's obligations under regional treaties relevant to the ECOWAS court proceedings, as well as the government's assessment of the potential legal and constitutional consequences of proceeding with the appointment while the cases remain pending. The minority we no mo chirim say ECOWAS court de ne so your original treaties ahodo agana ye de ensa hyehase ebi ECOWAS treaties ni ade ye hwem say ye tokoso vete Justice Bafuboni a de ensa hyehye treaties yase ECOWAS court proceedings any ruling ba bonten a edi ensunsuanso le benya wo man mu bra na be chichiri ebi these ongoing cases, the potential legal and constitutional consequences a ruling in ba bonten ni avert Justice Bafuboni we are saying the beye bra cases nyina nso eguso pending in court. Now say me kan minority leadership in parliament, the minority leader, the Honorable Alexander Fenyomakin, Yura Jerry Shaibu Ahmed, Obi etese Yura no don pre no mo come minority leadership in parliament nyina no mo nsa ehye motion yi asia omode akwakodan mrasebedwa. Nti interesting times ahead. Nti na die apart from say asem wo ECOWAS court muai, apart from say nsem no mu mienu asemiensa ewo high court ya high court enka ho asem, apart from say asem no portion bi nso wo supreme court ya supreme court on for ruling mai, and then the minority leadership in parliament nso asan file another motion ya when the motion we dey and also echo parliament straight calling for the suspension of all proceedings on the nomination and the vetting of Justice Paul Bafuboni, because according to the minority, legal cases efasemi wedoso ya ebia ruling ebeba no according to them have both legal and constitutional consequences on anamuntu a ekoso enuti parliament ehwe na omonfa yie ento yie. The interesting times ahead, you need the chiri all the cases, you need the chiri motion yinso a minority a file our parliament so you need the chiri you better from behind the bebrem. But until then, you better me kobo an interviewer or sahini the Honorable Alexander Fenyomakin, minority leader, a grantee with Yeniano Joy, now all kasa about this same Chief Justice issue, the vetting and appointment process of acting Chief Justice Paul Bafuboni, the removal of former Chief Justice Gertrude Arabaisa Abasaki Torkonoo, and the cases ahodwa ewo court. Ti yankoni kuti interview no na yemfa enkam.
They assumed office. Apart from the PR, when they are hot, they only come and then announce a so-called corruption. They are investigating someone. That's their playbook now. Anytime government is under pressure, Attorney General would do a press conference.
You think that's
Attorney General's place is in the court. My respected friend, the MP, who is an Attorney General and his deputy, I want them to know that their place is in the court.
But they also owe us a duty to update us, to be transparent.
Oh, please.
In what you're doing.
Please. When they are updating you and undermining the authority of the court and disrespecting the rights of people, pronouncing guilty even before going to court, perhaps they are waiting for Bafuboni to become a Chief Justice so that they control the court, which I'm finding... I wonder how they are going to achieve.
You're suggesting that if Bafuboni becomes the CJ, they'll
well, they've said so. They've said so. At least we hear them saying that they want their CJ and then they can have their preferred judges. That's what they are saying. But we wait to see. We wait to see. That is why they prefer to be in the media to talk about people's guilt. But it is not in their place to pronounce guilt. The rule of law requires a go to court, make a case.
Removal of Justice Gertrude Torkonoo. The minority leader alleges that there is a deliberate attempt by the acting CJ Paul Bafuboni to delay the hearing of the substantive matter for his personal gains.
In any event, again, listen to something. My Lord Bafuboni, who is the beneficiary of all of this, was in a hurry to abridge time for the hearing of the injunction applications. Whereas in the substantive matter, he was not in a hurry to hear them. Did you see what the Attorney General filed? Now asking for extension of time. Meanwhile, there is a nomination before Parliament for Parliament to vet and approve. And then you have a case at the Supreme Court. And I'm making this appeal to all the judges at the Supreme Court.
That
they should know that now it is they, the courts, that are undermining the very rule of law. Because
how exactly?
One of your colleagues, a matter is before you. You know that it affects her rights. You were in a hurry to hear the injunction applications and you determine it. There's a substantive matter that touches on the law. You could use the same haste to determine it. Why are they still in abeyance? Why is the Attorney General refusing to file the necessary processes and is now asking for extension of time? In the ECOWAS court, processes that were filed, the AG has still not filed a response. Why?
Well, this is what he had to say about the fate of Justice Bafuboni when he appeared before Parliament for vetting.
Will you vet Bafuboni?
Oh, all our casts are on the table. We'll get there.
Including not vetting him and boycotting the vetting. Because you are the ranking on that. You are the vice chair.
Boycotting is out.
So categorically, you will not boycott his vetting.
We will not boycott it. Anybody who is expecting us to boycott, I say here and now, we will never boycott it.
So what will you do instead?
We will do what is right. He himself must know that there is a Chief Justice. He himself must know.
And who is the Chief Justice?
He knows who is the Chief Justice.
No, I'm asking you. You suggested
he knows who the Chief Justice is.
They only act, there's an acting Chief Justice.
So he knows that he's acting.
Yes.
He knows he's acting and he knows that there's a substantive Chief Justice.
And who is that?
The lady has a case before you. You know that you are to empanel. If you want to rule, empanel the court, determine the matter, and then bring a finality, then we can talk.
You're saying that Gertrude Torkonoo is still the substantive CJ?
Well, it is to be known by him that it is the case. The woman has a case before you challenging the processes. You've refused to empanel the court.
But the warrant of the president is final.
The president has discharged his constitutional duty.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the president.
I'm
talking about the processes. CJ. Listen to me. I'm talking about the processes and her rights as a citizen of Ghana and a public office holder. That's what did she do?
That in cases that suited her,
which cases
had it quickly.
Specifically?
In fact, in one of the petitions against the CJ,
yes,
they mentioned one of the exactly.
But was
a case in point.
Hold on. What did she do wrong in the Afenyo-Markin case? A constitutional matter of that urgent nature had been occasioned by a pronouncement by the speaker. Government business had been stalled, and you don't think that a constitutional court had a bona fide responsibility in that circumstance to consider and determine the matter? I'm surprised. Why those arguments? People trivialize everything. In any event, what was her interest in the Afenyo-Markin case against the speaker? What was Torkonoo's interest? The Chief Justice, what was her interest? Did she have any interest personal to her other than the Constitution?
The accusation is that she had an MPP interest.
Oh, come on.
That's the accusation.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. So Bafuboni also has an NDC interest. That is why he was in a hurry to empanel, to abridge time, to determine the injunction, get them dismissed. But the substantive matter, she will shut his eyes on it. I'm waiting on when my Lord Bafuboni would empanel the court to look into the substantive matters, those by the Chief Justice herself and other civil society organizations, even the High Court.
You're saying
even the High Court one.
You're alleging that they actually Bafuboni is slowing down this particular case to advance his own personal interest
by his conduct. It's obvious.